in order because he was very worried about today's result. Today was his last chance to get to the city competition, and he pretended that he had come to take revenge on his bro. After listening to all this, the guy with a broken face said that it was all nonsense. The main character knew that his opponent had the potential to enter the top 3, but he looked more often at the scoreboard of his machine than at his ring. These words finally finished off Fred, and in anger he hit the machine gun with his fist. In addition to the cup and bouquet, Batten received a gaming center card, the balance of which he could use for any entertainment in the center. At the same time, a board appeared in front of him with the inscription that the system awarded him 1 point of champion glory for victories in sports competitions and in today's qualifying stage. The main character scored a whole point of champion glory. The guy is already feeling an improvement in all his characteristics, and the champion task should be kept in mind as one of the highest priorities. Suddenly, one of the maids asked if the gentleman wanted to end the stream. Batten responded positively to this, and the girl returned the phone to him. The main character said goodbye to the audience and said that the goods from the fair had already been sent. Suddenly, he received a message from Julia, saying that she had established contact with the publishing house. The student refused the maid's offer to go to dinner because he had other plans. That same day in a cafe, he met his teacher Julia. She said that the publisher liked his manga and they were ready to start publishing it. But a period of a couple of weeks seemed very long for Batten. The guy asked if it could be published without a publisher, just with his own money. The girl replied that if you try, you can print everything tomorrow. This made the main character very happy, and he firmly decided to do only this way. Julia added that a print run of 1,000 copies would cost about $30,000. Batten didn't care about the cost. Enthusiasm was visible in his eyes. This reaction shocked the girl, and she thought that the student did not value money at all.
He replied that money is just a tool to achieve truly important goals.
At this moment, the guy looked like a villain who had just come up with a plan to take over the world. And since the main character wants to release the manga at his own expense, they went straight to the printing house. A few hours later, a circulation of 1,000 copies was paid for and printed. Batten placed all the books in his apartment, in which Dove was also located. After this, the system notified him that manga's task had been completed, and a new achievement had been awarded. The student realized that the decision to produce an entire edition at his own expense was fully justified. A professional manga task immediately appeared, where it was necessary to sell 10,000 volumes. The main character immediately realized that this task also had an advanced version. After these thoughts, he kissed one of his newly made books. Dove noted that his friend finally felt the same way as he did and wanted to kiss him. Then he asked if Batten had any drinks to celebrate the occasion. The guy replied that there was only cola in the refrigerator, which did not make Dove happy. And the fact that the cola was only without sugar completely drove him crazy. Taking one can, he began to talk about how the main character's apartment was just what he needed. Suddenly, the blonde's gaze fell on the stairs that led to the second floor. While Batten was putting books into piles, his friend went to explore new territory. Less than 10 minutes had passed when a joyful cry was heard from above, which alerted the student. A second later, Dove brought his family photo to the first floor. The blonde said that if they are friends, then there should be no secrets, and you need to answer honestly. He was only interested in what the famous actress was doing in this photo. Batten replied that she was his sister, but he did not want to say it. I didn't want to talk because I knew that Dove would start begging him to meet her. The protagonist's expectations were justified, and everything happened exactly like that. But his friend was more cunning and asked if he could live in his apartment. The guy wanted to refuse, but his interlocutor was furious with this news. After some time, the student still allowed people to come to his apartment, but not to bring girls. The satisfied friend ran to the second floor to warm the bed for Batten. The main character hinted after him that there is no sandbank here and he himself will clean up. The family photograph remained on the first floor and Batten looked at it with warmth. Suddenly, he received a notification from Sleepy Grandfather that he needed to make a new manga. Although he was improving his skills, the guy was not yet ready to write something at the level of Dungeon Spirits. But you could learn a lot from working with Sleepy Grandfather, so you shouldn't miss this opportunity. John responded positively to this message, and Grandfather promised to come the next day with a contract. In Batten's opinion, Grandfather is ready to resolve any issues as soon as possible. But when it comes to releasing new chapters, everything comes down to zero. In the cafe, the grandfather in glasses noted that the main character eats little, and he is already thin as a matchstick. The student replied that he had already agreed, and there was no need to bait him with flattery. His interlocutor decided not to hesitate, and handed over an envelope with a contract and licensing documents. The rights to the manga and publication of printed publications will belong to Batten. The proceeds will be 50%. Hearing such sweet conditions, the main character agreed without hesitation. For Sleepy Grandfather, the main thing was that it was John who worked on the manga, and the rest was trifles. For the student, the main thing was that the blind grandfather release new chapters. The author really did not like these jokes, and he asked to stop doing it. Then he asked about the 4 girls they had recently met, He wondered if these were not the same girls who came to support the main character at the tournament. Batten immediately realized that Grandfather watched all his streams, so he did not release new chapters. But the author has already completed the main task for today, and the atmosphere is not right for him to go to the hotel to write chapters. Soon an offer came from him to capture those maids and rent a karaoke room. The main character knew the place better than karaoke. You can sing and swim there, and there will be girls there. The guy grabbed him and said that he was saying this in all seriousness. Upon arrival, the blind grandfather was indignant at where he was taken and asked to be told that this was a joke. They ended up on the lake, to which the grandfather said that he trusted him as if he were his own, and Batten betrayed him. And if he takes him to karaoke with the girls right now, he will forget about the betrayal. The student recalled that he had previously said that you can swim here, and there are a lot of girls walking around. But Sleepy Grandfather didn't want this. He doesn't need the lake. The main character is only wasting his time. In response to this, the guy suggested that he go to the hotel and write a couple of new chapters. Such an unexpected answer shocked the author, and he froze for a while. And then he replied that he would rather admire the evening lake because he was happy with everything. At this time, Batten decided to launch his stream and told viewers that today he agreed to work together on a manga. He introduced the audience to that same legendary novelist, whose name was Sleepy Grandfather. He also gave fans a chance to ask him a question, and the 10 most interesting ones would receive a copy of the manga. Since the author was already old, he asked to show him the phone screen closer. At this moment, he was bombarded with a ton of questions about when the new chapter would be released. The next day at the station, Grandfather said something about someone who thought about something. It seemed to him that the way the main character accepted his work partners was simply outrageous. And he asked if the student was afraid that he would one day take revenge on him. Batten replied that his acceptance was so outrageous that he no longer needed him as the main artist. Sleepy Grandfather immediately came to his senses and said that it was a joke, and he should relax. He also asked Batten to take care of himself and come to him when there is time. The student asked him to immediately begin new chapters upon returning home. This joke about the chapters seemed to scald the author, and he again asked to stop. Grandfather quickly turned around and walked towards the boarding point for his train. And the main character wondered if he had gone too far with this joke. While he was seeing off the manga author, it was already 11:30. Kathleen was supposed to arrive soon. When the girl stood on the platform, she asked if Batten really came to meet her. He replied that he had recently seen off a friend, and therefore decided to wait for her. Kathleen noticed the milk tea in the hand and the student and asked if it was for her. John suddenly remembered him and said that he almost forgot about this tea. After rolling her suitcase, the guy asked if she would mind going to lunch at a cafe. The girl agreed, and a few minutes later, they were already at the place where she handed him a gift. A smile and admiration immediately appeared on Batten's face, and he asked if this gift was for him. It was Chopper, and the main character really liked him because it was his favorite character. Kathleen saw it in the window when she and Mrs. Kate went shopping. Hearing just the name, the main character fell into despair, which could be read on his face. The friend began a story about her journey, and the student tried to hold back the lump in his throat. Now he learned that his mother had offered Kathleen to be her named daughter. Since this news sounded to him for the first time, the guy even choked on his drink. This frightened the girl because she did not know why such a reaction occurred. He once again repeated the phrase that spoke about the named daughter. And then he added that Mrs. Kate is his mother, although not his own. Kathleen took on this expression on her face because Batten was now a brother to her. She thought that she was offered to become the named daughter at the request of the main character. This assumption greatly infuriated the student. He even hit the table with his fist. Furious. He said that it was clear that he liked Kathleen, and there was no need for him to ask his mother to make her his sister. Hearing the guy furious, the girl asked if he liked her, and then he asked how much the main character liked her. The guy immediately realized that he had said a lot of unnecessary things and therefore blushed a little. The student repeated her question about how much he liked her. The main character has already finally realized that he has done something wrong and he needs to act. Batten liked her so much that he had recently changed so much for her sake. Listening to such emotional statements, Kathleen just shook her head from side to side. And then she added that you don't need to change for her sake. You need to change for yourself. It may be that the girl will like the loaf that he thinks she will be crazy about. Perhaps she will be happiest with the version of him in which he is happiest with himself. Next, Kathleen began to say that there was no point in changing for her sake, and let him first promise not to start a conversation about her with Kate. She means that she doesn't want his mom to influence their relationship, and he doesn't want him to influence her relationship with his mom. The student's brain overheated from such a large amount of quickly spoken information. Their conversation was interrupted by Kathleen's phone, which suddenly vibrated. It turned out that she would call Mrs. Kate right now, so she asked not to say anything. At this time, Kate, the main character's mother, was in Dubai, where her husband was. She got out of the car at the construction site and called out to him, to which he was asked what the woman was doing here. Stepp was a famous architect in Dubai and was also the father of Batten. The woman came here to make sure that he did not take a mistress here. When asked if Kate was convinced, she replied that she did not fully understand everything. The man offered to take her to the hotel because she was very tired after the night flight. On the way, the lady said that she had recently given birth to her named daughter. Having learned the whole story in more detail, Stepp was shocked because Kathleen liked their baton. Kate added that her husband understood everything correctly and asked if it was funny. First, she made the student her adopted daughter because she genuinely liked her. And since she is a named daughter, Baton did not become her relative either by law or by blood. Stepp was only worried that everything would turn out exactly the opposite. The woman recommended not to worry, because the main character was already a big boy and would definitely not disappear. Their conversation in the car was interrupted by a phone call on Kate's phone from Kathleen. This did not make her man very happy. He even started sweating on his face. From the very beginning, Kathleen spoke about what Baton told her and asked if it was true. The lady was completely calm and answered without trembling that it was so. The girl continued to ask if Kate knew that the main character liked the student. She also knew this because John's sister told her everything. Kate found out through the student's mentor that she was going to an exhibition in Mexico, so she went there herself. The woman just wanted to get to know the girl her son liked better, but Kathleen didn't understand why she was made the named daughter. The interlocutor firmly stated that this had nothing to do with the main character. After running the exhibition with Kathleen for several days, Kate truly fell in love with her. This answer disarmed the young girl. She easily let go of her sword. Her new mother felt a kinship with her, which is why she made such an offer. To be honest, Kate didn't even remember the existence of Loaf at that moment. It seemed to the guy that after talking with his mother, he put on an invisibility cap and went on a mission. The detail that the mother did not remember her son at that moment struck Kathleen. The woman herself did not know how this could have happened. But then she came to her senses and did not regret it. According to her, this decision, although spontaneous, was very correct. Whether the student will become her daughter-in-law in the future is already the main character's concern. And she took the fate of female relationships in her hands and asked if her new daughter was going to cut off all ties after this. The fright had already passed a little, and the girl replied that she was not going to do it. Their relationship was one fact, but the relationship with Baton was completely different. At the end of their imaginary battle, Kate asked if Kathleen wanted to clarify anything else. She replied that everything was now clear and added that her parents would like to meet the woman. But neither Baton nor Stepp were able to grasp the specific essence of the girl's telephone conversation. The protagonist's girlfriend called his mother, only to find out that the decision to make her his named daughter had nothing to do with him. This was true, because it was important for the young girl to know that Kate liked her regardless of John. Now she was happy with everything, and she and her mistress really were like kindred spirits. And if we talk about the relationship between a guy and a girl, then there are still no blood ties between them. The guy was about to ask her out, but as always, something went wrong. Kathleen got up from the table and said that now it was Baton's turn to pay for lunch, and it was time for her to run to class. It was a very uncomfortable moment for the main character, but he didn't say anything. The main character could not shake the feeling that he had survived a real catastrophe. But in fact, the guy himself inflated such a scale of the problem in his head. At first glance, it seemed that nothing had changed at all. Although today he admitted to the girl that he liked her, she did not reciprocate, but at least she did not reject him. Baton recalled with warmth the moment he had just experienced. His reverie was interrupted by Annie, the Academy's most famous crossdresser. He was not in a female form, so the main character did not recognize him immediately. Just the memory of him at the fair made John furious. Annie said that basketball competitions would soon begin at the Academy, and he wanted to invite Baton to the team of the animation department, but the guy didn't know how to play basketball. The crossdresser was shocked by the news and hoped it was just a joke. The guy thought so because he saw the main character's streams where he throws balls into a basket. Of course, the student knew how to throw balls into arcade baskets, but he had never played basketball. He also has no idea how to dribble the ball, pass the ball, or shoot a field goal when the opponents are covering. The guy with blue hair remembered that he had never seen him on the basketball court. Then he said that he didn't care about dribbling the ball, and the main character would only be responsible for throwing shots into the basket. Dissatisfaction was visible on the student's face, because he had not yet agreed to anything. Then Annie began to ask him to get into the situation, because it is very difficult to find normal sports guys on the faculty. The crossdresser barely persuaded 5 people to participate, and he did it while dressing up as a girl. His plea that he shouldn't give up right away, but at least try himself in training, seems to have begun to take effect. Baton replied that he could try, but did not promise accurate field goals. Already excited, Annie asked if he would have time after lunch to meet the team. At the appointed time, the main character was on the site where the other guys were training. They immediately recognized the internet star and said that now their faculty was saved from shame. The streamer was a little embarrassed and greeted all the team members nicely. Baton was distracted from getting to know the team by familiar female voices. These were the 4 girls who dressed as maids for the tournament. But something happened, and all 4 ran away from the stadium. The guy with red hair noted how quickly his cheerleaders deserted. The main character said that this is only for the better, because they will not distract from training. Immediately after these words, his interlocutor swung the ball and asked to show what their new participant could do. Annie got everyone ready to see a miracle in the world of basketball. But the miracle did not happen, and the basketball hit Batten right in the face. The crossdresser tried to console everyone by saying that catching the ball was not the student's strong suit. Passing the uncaught ball, he added that the main character's throw was divine. Mentally, he realized that first he needed to understand the characteristics of the ball. This ball seemed lighter than the ones John threw in the machines. Members of the basketball team have already begun to object, asking why he thinks for so long before throwing. Someone even said that their new participant couldn't even accept a pass. They were mostly right that there would be no time to think during the game in Batten. His first throw was clean, and Annie was very happy about this event. He ordered everything to stop and bring the balls to the main character. His teammates surrounded him and changed their minds, in case he turned out to be useful. From a standing position, the streamer could easily throw clean balls into the hoop. There was hope that the team would be saved, because the throws were indeed clean. Annie asked the guy with red hair, whose name was Rusty, to block the shot next time. The student just realized that in such a situation, you just need to throw the ball as high as possible. He tensed and with all his might and jumped as high as his height allowed. But this tactic did not work, and Rajavi easily blocked this throw.